Hi, and welcome to O2 Tara Talks, conversations about one thing you can do right now to stay healthy in your body and mind. And remember, today's talk is for informational purposes only. Consult your practitioner for guidance specific to your situation. And that said, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Katie Nall, who we'll be speaking with today. And Katie is an advanced certified emotional freedom technician. So, Katie, to start out, can you tell us in one sentence how you help people?
Well, Tara, first of all, thank you for inviting me to the show. I appreciate being able to share opportunity. Yeah, I'm a mathematician who helps people reduce stress, basically, and that's a very easy explanation.
To help people reduce stress.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Okay, good. So can we then get right into what is one thing that we can do right now in these stressful times that we're in?
Well, Tara, you are the expert in breathing. So I'm going to offer another way to breathe that is kind of a little more fun. So it's called humming. And we've all hummed earlier on, but let's try a quick exercise to see how humming can reduce our stress. As Hans Seeley said, who was the first researcher to really define stress, which comes from uncertainty, lack of information, and lack of control. Do we feel any of that right now?
Yes. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that.
So let's see what we can do to help control that biologically. So I'll go through an exercise, and you and your viewers can go with us, where what we're going to do is take a deep breath in, a deep breath out, repeat that in and out, and then take a deep breath in, and on the third time, when we would breathe out, we're going to hum that breath out. Would you like to do it with me?
Okay, yeah, so it's in, out, in, and then hum on the third time. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, let's try that.
Okay, so let's try it. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
And the second one. And then the third one, we're going to take our breath in and hum our way out.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a very grounding sensation that you get from that.
Right? Yeah. And it turns out you can do this all day long. And you can do it anywhere, anytime. And it's a very, I love your phrase, grounding. And it's a way to just kind of calm those nerves down so that you can go forward.
Yeah, it's much like, you know, when I talk about breathing itself, it really is, when you pay attention to your breathing, there's nothing more fundamental that we do. And
Right.
It's the same thing. When you turn inward and really focus on that, it really does help you ground yourself and just get out of your head and into your body, which really does help with all the stress and everything. And I love the humming, because there is then that physical component. You can hear it, you can feel the vibrations, and that really adds a whole nother element to it. Wow, that's very neat.
Yeah, it's fun. And I actually put my husband to sleep the other night.
Did you?
He was a little nervous about all this that's going on. Who isn't? And he was having trouble going to sleep. And I said, well, let's just do this together. And by the third section of where we did the 3 times, he was snoring. So
that's wonderful. So I mean, that tells us we can do this with our family, another adult, or our children. You know.
The children have a lot of fun with it, right? Because they can hum along.
Yeah. It's great. It's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know, Katie, you also, as we said in the, you know, what your practice is, being an advanced certified emotional freedom technician. Can you tell us a little bit about how we could use that as well?
So once you're grounded, you may want to release a lot of the stress, the fear, the anxiety that we're having right now in these times. And tapping is a proven technique on eliminating that stress and that anxiety around a specific issue. So it may be, the fear of the unknown. It may be, I'm not sure how I'm going to be working from home. It may be I'm not sure about my income. Right. It could be I'm not sure about this virus or who I might know who might get it. So those fears, those anxieties can really be eliminated using tapping. And actually, Tara, is kind of, a pretty common kind of thing. Unconsciously, we may be actually touching different parts of our body. We may be talking to people or just like working around things and find ourselves kind of comforting ourselves by touching different parts of our body. And there are 8 places in our body that if we touch will hit about 98% of our entire systems. It's based on the traditional Chinese medicine, and it's based on their meridians. It's pretty easy. You just start with a little tapping, and you can go slow or fast on the edge of your eyebrow above your nose, and then on the side of your eye between your eye and your hairline, and then under your eye.
Take the glasses off.
I know, I have to take my glasses off too. That's why I had mine off for this. And then under your nose. And Tara, if you find a particular spot that you go, oh, that's really comforting, you can keep tapping just on that spot.
It's funny that you say that, Katie. This one right here felt particularly good to me.
Okay, then you can tap just on that spot, and then on your collarbone. And then about 4 inches under your arm. This is my monkey move. And then you can continue. Now, they've done a lot of studies throughout the world. It's very well accepted in a lot of other countries. And the studies that they've found, the clinical studies they've found, is that when you add words to these different tapping points, it becomes even more effective. So it can be, I'm fearful about the future. 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 And just repeating those same words as you go through these points actually calms the entire system down. And it allows you to think more clearly, because everybody knows that if you are full of emotions, you can't make good decisions. So it helps bring those emotions into play so that you can make intelligent and good decisions.
Right. So basically, we're hitting these Chinese-based meridian points, and then, like you said, if you add vocalization, that's also allowing you to express what you might otherwise be sort of holding on to, to your detriment, really. So you really can get the release. So so we can do this humming thing, and then go ahead right into this tapping to allow us to really get that release.
Absolutely.
I think that's something we really, really need right now. So let me ask you a question. What would you think of, or maybe you've worked with clients, are there certain roadblocks that might prevent you from doing that? Is it like a comfort level? Like, the technique itself seems pretty accessible. Where do you see the biggest roadblocks in actually being able to use that, effectively?
Well, Tara, even before all of this started, I've had clients worldwide using similar types of techniques like Zoom. And the hardest thing, the biggest roadblock that people have is admitting that there's a negative emotion. Great example is that when I first started, I tried all this out on my husband, who got very upset with me. He said, for 30 years, you've been telling me to think positive, and now you want me to say the negative? And I said, well, this wasn't working for 30 years, so let's try this. But it turns out that, if we say over and over again, I'm successful, I'm successful, I'm successful, which is a great idea, there could be a little part back here that says, what makes you think that you're successful? Or how about that time where you were a big failure? Or, somebody else said that you weren't so successful. And what time?
Oh, we just froze a little bit. Say that again. We just froze a little bit when you said somebody else said you weren't successful. Can you just pick up again from there?
Yeah, so somebody else may say that you weren't successful. So what happens is with tapping is that you can say, I'm not really sure if I'm going to be successful or not, or I don't know if I can be successful. And
Mm.
repeating those phrases through those, because not saying them doesn't mean they don't exist. They exist, but we suppress them, and it's the suppression that causes physical issues, right?
Yes, definitely. That's
Yeah.
interesting too, because it burns up so much energy trying to fight off negative emotions too,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
if we can indeed acknowledge them and say, you know, get it out there, basically basic catharsis, right? Okay, and then somehow it almost can become a little more manageable. It's almost like when you're at night, like, I have an 11-year-old and she'll say, oh, I need some water, and I'll say, okay, why don't you go downstairs and get it, like at bedtime, and she'll be, well, I don't want to go down there, but I don't also want to like kind of cater to those sort of things. So sometimes I'll say, you know what, go ahead, I'll turn this light on, you go. She'll come back up and she'll say, I don't know why I was so afraid, So it's like you have to you have to do it to realize. And it sounds like this will give you that same kind of release to get it out of your mind, bring it to the forefront. Once you recognize it, then you can say, hey, it's not
Right.
as bad as I thought it was.
Right.
So, wow. So, two really, really concrete things that we can do right now to
Yes.
help us manage this unprecedented amount of stress and strain and fear, really, that we're all sort of
Mhm.
trying to work through. Well, that is really wonderful. Um, and let's see, I think, just trying to think if do you have any other thoughts on any other roadblocks that might possibly come up for people, or is that the main one that you see, and how do you guide your client if they do indeed say, I don't know about this negative thing, I don't, do you have any kind of trick or something in case somebody's not sure if they can do this?
Oh, Tara, I love the phrase trick. I'm the biggest trickster. So yeah, uh, I'll go back to my husband. Poor guy, I just pick on him so much.
Yeah.
Uh, but he would say, I don't really have anything negative. I said, that's great. I'm really glad to hear that. You know.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get
um,
to.
but a great example was he came home night after night after night complaining about this one client he had, and how they were disruptive, and he just went on and on and on. And finally one night I sat him down and I said, look, I know you're not negative and I know you have no problems at all, but for me, would you tap for me?
Mhm.
And just repeat these words and see. And the part that's important about tapping is to use your own words, because tapping is all about speaking the truth. And the truth is, we might be fearful of the future, or we might be wondering how we're going to generate income. And so saying that truth, it resonates with our amygdala, and our amygdala says, yes, it's all about survival, right? It's
Right,
all about
right, right.
survival. And what we're doing is reassuring the amygdala that, you know, you may think that I don't know how to do this, but I cognitively, my prefrontal cortex, I have lots of ways that I can make income. It may be different. I may have to look at other things, but let me reassure you.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Wow.
basically, I just ask them, I do trick them a little bit
A little,
and
little.
say, I get it that you don't have anything negative, but why don't we just tap on how you feel about it? Now, what I found, a lot of people, Tara, are a little bit unsure about a new system.
Mhm.
And so the first thing we might tap on is, I'm really unsure if this is going to work or not. I'm
That's
unsure
great.
if this is going to
That's
work or
great.
not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm unsure if it's going to work or not. And so we will do a whole section just on, the way they feel about trying something new and different.
Right. That's
Yeah.
great. It's like addressing the 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? Right up front. That's a good.
Speak
And
the truth.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I love the other point you made, Katie, in that sometimes we can be experiencing something that we're not really aware of because it's at such a deep level, but it's coming out in agitation or irritation with other people, so that it can take somebody else to sort of coax you along, and then help you get to a point to say, wow, now that I'm not carrying that burden, I realize how heavy it actually was, because that's what I find too, a lot of times when the burden accumulates, you don't really realize it getting progressively heavier because it can be such a slow thing, right? And it's
Right,
only when you get the relief that
right,
you realize how sort of downtrodden you become,
right.
So I think that is, yeah. So maybe like even with our kids, I'm thinking how I can do this with my daughter, who is now trying to figure out how to get all of her homework done through this
Mhm.
online thing and just not seeing her friends and whatever. So this might actually be really perfect because I know she's strained by that, in addition to all the other fear and uncertainty that's going on.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I have worked, Tara, with clients as young as 2 years old.
Really?
Oh yeah, sure.
Really?
Because they all have emotions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my 2-year-old granddaughter was terrified of loud noises to the point where she couldn't be in the house when the vacuum was run.
Mm.
And with her parents' permission, um, I tapped on her about the fear of loud noises. And now she's in the same kitchen with me when I'm running my blender. And she says, "Wow, that's loud." I said, "Yeah, it is. If you want to go in the other room, you can." But she's fine.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, I think you gave us so many concrete examples, Katie, to see how this can really help us to manage in these really stressful times. So that's it. So we can hum and we can do this emotional freedom technique as well. And Katie, is there anywhere that if anyone wanted to get more information, where they might be able to find you?
Yes, if they go to my website, which is www.nall, N-A-L-L, edge, EDGECO.com, knowledgecompany.com. Uh,
Okay. Cute. A nice little play on words there. Knowledge. I like that.
yeah, I told you I was a trickster. Uh,
Yeah. Love it. I love
or
words.
they can email me at hello@drnall.com, HELLO@DRNALL.com, or they can call me. I'd love to talk to them about, I'm at 772-480-0541. And I'm anxious to help people, especially now in this time. I have some great techniques, even beyond these two, to help people ground and to give them the peace that they can make intelligent decisions. We are going to have to be making some big decisions in the near and foreseeable future.
Right.
Um, and we have high school and college students who are trying to figure out their future, what they're going to be doing. I have a lot of high school students that I help with math and test anxiety, and they may have thought they were going to make decisions about going to different colleges, and that can be changed.
Right.
Um, but I'm here to help. Um,
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, great. I will put all that information in the show notes for this talk so people can reach out to you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share this with us. Thank you. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you, Tara. I appreciate you.